So, Rashida,
Yes.
firstly, thank you for participating in this project that is her. Thank you for playing the female cop. I just wanted to go over a little bit about who
Mhm.
she is. If you have any questions, comments, concerns about the character, about the project, let's get that out right quick. But then also, I will want you to share other roles and projects that you've worked on.
Okay.
Any that you're willing to share. So again, thank you, and because this is going to be our first time working together. And I really looked at the female character, the female police officer, deeply the other day. I know she has no name. She'll be given a name after the results of the lottery
Right.
for the email signups. However, I really looked at who she is. She has a few lines, but she has a powerful presence.
Presence. I picked that up. Yeah. I
Exactly.
definitely. So less is more the reaction, the emotion that was speaking more so than what the lines are being said. So I kind of picked that up. So a little
Very
bit
good.
no nonsense, kind of like, um, you need that balance between her and her partner because her partner was kind of like
Mm-hmm.
combing everything down and trying to,
Exactly.
mediate the
Uh-huh.
situation where she's just like, again,
Mm-hmm.
do you have something you need to work out?
Exactly. So you get it.
Yes.
Because to me, the female police officer, like, okay, for real, I thought about it. She could be on her period. I don't know. But this woman does not, she doesn't, she seems to have her own mommy issues. She don't like women. She sees them as weak. And here she is encountering Sydney in this emergency sort of situation that she doesn't feel is an emergency. I also get the feeling that not only does she use her badge in the wrong way, I got the feeling that she might be currently investigated for police brutality.
Ooh,
And
hey.
I really feel like her partner, the guy,
Yeah.
to me, he feels like a plant. It almost feels like he's watching her, um, and will not let her go too far.
Mm.
Going back to your character though, and you exactly had it right. She has a chip on her shoulder. Something is wrong. And she what she doesn't realize in her, let's say, hardness is that she's witnessing a psychological breakdown. And that's
Okay.
what all the service provider, the two police officers, they're all witnessing. Even Isaiah, her best friend, all are witnessing someone have a psychological breakdown in real time.
Yeah.
However, your character does not care.
Yeah.
She is hard and she is harsh, and I believe she is needed to be that way. Um, in regards to how some people treat some people with mental disease.
And in that type of situation, not to cut you off, but the lack of
Hmm.
empathy
Exactly. Thank you.
that
Yeah.
is what the main breakdown is as a reason why, first of all, you can't understand what the person is going through. You can't sympathize, you can't relate. You just see that, they're operating a certain way that you're not used to. But
Hmm.
again, if you had that empathy there, you will have a little bit more grace and understanding, like, hey, there's something bigger beyond than, what I'm seeing here.
Exactly.
But again, and when I was reading like through the script and I was reading it for my character, female cop,
Hmm.
yeah, I get the gist of it, who she is, no nonsense, just really don't have time. And I definitely see that she looks at women as weak. But then my question going down from that,
Hmm.
bringing it deeper, like, why is she like this? So where is that stemming from?
Hmm.
And so me thinking, I'm like, okay, well, I want to write my own bio and try to
Hmm.
give her like a background.
Hmm.
So, and it's just interesting that you were saying that, as far as like how she views women,
Hmm.
maybe she has something, she came from a household and she noticed her mom was like that,
Hmm.
so you just gave me a lot to think about that I could potentially play with
Hmm.
as a reason why she's like that and not showing Sydney like any type of like
Grace.
grace.
Anytime. And typically, someone who develops mommy issues and the result is, let's say, an impatience
Mm,
with women specifically, a lot of times that individual who develops those mommy issues has had a childhood experience in which their mother seemed weak. you got to understand as we age, the first persons we see in life are mommy and daddy or
Right.
whoever's raising us. So
Right.
they are typically to show us how we are to be as adults.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, for example, a person who, let's say, is 5 years old and then dad leaves and then the household crumbles and then they see mommy cry all the time and always got to go in there and lift her up
Yeah.
and then they got to go make her coffee or get her whatever, and then that child stops living as a child, childhood interrupted, they become an adult or have to become more responsible.
Mhm.
In turn, they may internalize the fact that they didn't get to live that childhood. In that regard, they can begin to hate or strongly dislike the gender
Yeah.
that interrupted their childhood, which was represented by their mother,
Mhm.
which is represented by the female.
And that's a baggage that you're
Mm-hmm.
bringing on. In essence, they both need healing. They
Exactly.
both need healing. What I'm
Exactly.
picking up. So,
And we can even look at you, Rashida, as the female officer, even becoming um, this professional or integrating yourself into this profession just for power.
mhm.
Because as a child, you saw your mom lose control and be
Yeah.
powerless, then you had to become powerful some sort of way. And
Yeah.
all these years later, it's ingrained in you to just be in control. In
Mhm.
which case, even though that police officer has her issues and she is harsh with her interaction with this lady who is breaking down, obviously, it's like you said, she also needs healing.
Yeah. I mean, we all do. But
Mm-hmm.
again, where we're lacking is the grace. Once you can
Mm-hmm.
understand, when you come from a place of understanding, you will automatically see there's grace that should be, like dispersed between everyone. But this is why it's important, like, when it comes to like protecting, serving, or just, in front of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You can't bring your personal baggage into it, and then the people that's asking for, help in, return, you can't bring in your baggage. It's just like,
And deal with theirs.
and deal with theirs. So it's
Too
like
much.
I can see that between the two characters. And
Mm-hmm.
again, this is why I love her partner, because he comes in and he mediates the situation, and he's kind of like, where she's up here, he kind of like brings her back down and like, hey, no, let's equal it out. You can say what you want to say, but you don't have to deliver it in the way you're delivering it. So
Exactly. Exactly.
it's
It's like in that moment, he really is the common force between the police officer as well as Sydney.
yes, yes.
So, he's that grounding, calming force that they both don't really know they need, but they do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad that you get it, that you
Mm-hmm.
understand. And it's not the quantity of the lines that she has, as this is a short. It's really is the intensity of who the character is
Yeah.
and how that comes through verbally
Yeah.
as well as physically.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the you're an actor, okay, so you know what to do. I don't have to say anything. So again, I'm just glad that you get her, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
glad that we're having this conversation. And I'm glad that you have some backstory on her, so you can really put that in there and push it through
Yeah.
in your performance. Also, though, Miss Lady, I want to talk about or know about other things that you've done.
Okay. Well, I'm also a commercial actor. So I've done, my most recent is with Slim Fast. So I'm
Mhm.
very gracious for them. And that's currently circulating. But as far as theatrical is concerned, I have a couple of projects that I've been working on, some smaller than others. Some of my relationships started around the same time from like with Braun from
Mhm.
2016.
Mhm.
So we've kept in touch, but like the most recent one I've done, can't talk too much about it, but it's a full
Mhm.
feature.
Mhm.
And I shot that in Texas. And
Oh wow! Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah. So that's under wraps, going through production and everything. But
Mhm.
this more recent one that I just did, this is also a friend of the family, basically, because it
Mhm.
has my husband and it also has our two sons in
Oh
the film.
wow!
So we're playing like a very odd couple.
Uh huh.
Very odd. And I can't go too deep into that as well, but
Mm.
he trusts my work because we started on a pilot presentation, and this
Mhm.
was a couple of years back. And then after that, he had me star in my first leading film called Blended, not Blended, excuse me, Fractured. The TV
Ooh.
pilot that was called Blended, but the full feature. that was Fracture, and that was
Mhm.
actually around the same time I was filming Pancake Man. So as soon as I
Oh
wrapped
my
with
god.
Fracture, the next day I'm doing like Pancake Man. So those two particular directors,
Uh-huh.
I'm very close with, and I'm very gracious for them. But yeah, so I'm excited to see. I
Okay.
see recently I'm tending to get the same type roles, like more law enforcement or attorney, because the
Mhm.
full feature that I just did in Texas, I'm playing an
Mhm.
attorney. So it's based off a true story. So it's
Oh,
dealing around
okay.
like the JFK. And
Wow.
so
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so it's serious.
Uh-huh.
It's a drama. But I tend to see that I get more of the no nonsense roles,
Mhm.
which I have no problem with that. I love it. But what I
Mhm.
do in the meantime, and I've been doing that for the last 3.5 years, is like improv. I do love comedy. And I
Mm.
remember when I was in college, my professor was saying, like, Rashida, have you ever thought about comedy? And I was like, I guess maybe I he was like, because we see you do the drama, you do that very well,
Uh-huh.
that's whatever. But what
Exactly.
about, because you're actually funny when you're not trying to be funny? And I was
Mm.
like, huh. So that was years ago. So
Mhm.
then, fast forwarded, I'm out here now, and I had the opportunity to work with Brian on his set, and that was the Heat of the Beat. So that was
Mhm.
that.
Oh, you was a
By
part of that?
I was
Okay.
playing the secretary that he was, trying to like, you know, get past me to get the his
Uh-huh.
music scene and there all the other stuff. But it was hilarious. So from there I was like, okay, well maybe I should start tapping more into my comedic side. So then I enrolled into improv. And so I do
Mhm.
that once a week. And that's LA Connection Comedy Theater. So
Mhm.
they're located in Burbank, but we also do it online. And so from there, it's been keeping me on my toes, trying different characters.
Mhm.
And it's just funny. Excuse me. It was just funny that you were just mentioning earlier about the PTA, because
Mhm.
a couple of sessions ago, our games, it was like a full long form, and it was with the PTA. So I was
Oh
playing this
wow.
kooky lady, and so it was hilarious. So it gives me an opportunity just to play with some stuff, see what sticks. So
Mhm.
I use that as my in between, like, downtime, to kind of like, while in between projects, to stay sharp, try some different characters. I love the fact that it is long form, because it's like, okay, I'm staying in the same character,
Mhm.
I'm going with it, yes, and just going with the flow. And it's just like
Mhm.
when you're on set, sometimes that does happen. So I try to
Mhm.
take that experience. But yeah, in between
Wow.
doing that, auditioning for commercials. So
Well, working actor, very good.
yeah.
Very good. You keep it. No, no, no.
Try.
Working actor. And we're not gonna try. We're doing.
We're doing. You're
We're
right. You're
doing.
doing. Got to speak it.
So,
Got to speak it. So I'm blessed. I can't take that away. So I'm very grateful.
wow. Well, congratulations
Oh,
on
thank you.
everything.
Thank you.
Um, I'm excited about this project that I mean it was written I think 2 or 3 years ago. I forget which. I'm excited though to bring it to life. I'm excited about what it focuses on as far as mental health. I'm extremely excited about the focus on mental health is by way of childhood trauma,
Hmm.
because I've always wanted to, when I realized it, I've always wanted to remind people, that experiences matter.
Yeah.
So just like you can go through a great experience and be changed,
Hmm.
you can go through a not so great experience and be changed. And sometimes we don't realize after having endured that trauma that we have been changed. So I am looking forward to just using all
Yeah.
of your energy, your capabilities, your experience
Oh, thank
to
you.
bring the female
Your
cop,
service.
who shall get a name soon,
That's
to
fine.
life,
Yeah.
and also to help us drive the energy um, of awareness to mental health.
That's important. Yes.
And I want to say specifically, yet of course, not just exclusively, however, specifically in the African American community, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
we're slick to
Yeah.
stay away from Uncle Joe,
Yeah.
because something wrong with him. Well, what's wrong though?
Yeah. Talk about it. Or when you try
Yeah.
to mention, like, maybe they should, seek therapy and talk about it. They feel
And
like,
that's taboo.
yeah, or calling someone crazy, and it's just like, we tend to like laugh it off a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
sweep it under the rug,
Exactly.
and
And even outside looking in, when we see certain people in the family, especially when they're in the family and they're successful, and you understand what they've been through.
Yeah.
You're
Yep.
like, yo, you're holding this position and these people respect you, but I remember when.
See.
And so
Yeah.
it's just a suggestion. I think this whole movie for me is just a suggestion to those adults who are successful in any way that they're successful to remember their inner child that never leaves. It grows old with us, and it is probably most active when one becomes a parent. Or
Mm-hmm.
it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Your inner child is that child that gets on the floor with your own kid and just roll around or whatever.
Yeah.
Your inner child is that personality or that person, that being that rolls around with anybody kid that maybe even jump get on the swings at the park. And so that part of you never leaves, although it can be ignored and disregarded.
Mm-hmm.
Even when it's ignored and disregarded, the trauma of it manifests in
Yeah.
ways that may not be self-aware.
Yeah.
And I thank you again for helping us bring that awareness to light, and also remind people you have an inner child. He or she or they
Yeah.
deserves attention and healing. Whatever they didn't get during that trauma, the adult is very capable of supplying that currently.
Yeah. Instead of suppressing it.
Mm-hmm.
People do not like to go back to the past, and we can understand why sometimes, because it could be very triggering and very
Mm-hmm.
emotional, and it's easier to just like ignore it and just say like, no, I'm okay, and keep moving on, but you keep seeing the same patterns and the same cycle repeating itself, and
Exactly.
that's not normal. So
And that's not normal.
you have to ask those questions. Why is this happening? Where somewhere along the line in
Where's
my
this
life.
come from?
Yeah. So
And I often think about the fact that when a child experiences trauma,
yeah.
and then let's say they move on or in their mind overcome, and so let's say they're 43, and then the need for healing pops back up, and then they're scared to revisit what
Yeah.
caused the
Mhm.
trauma. My thing is this though: if you were 8 years old when you went to that trauma, through that trauma, and now you're 43, now I get confused because the 8 year old survived the trauma.
Yeah.
35 years later, you can't muster up the energy to just go through the memory. And I don't want to portray myself as being insensitive to that,
Right.
because
Right.
sometimes even just the memory of a traumatic experience is just completely debilitating. With that being said, there are those who, choose not to go forward with their own healing. Sometimes it's not about the medication. Sometimes it's simply healing starts with
Yeah.
confronting
Yeah.
the past, acknowledging what has occurred, and moving forward from that
Yeah.
point. And again, you're going to be very helpful as this badass police officer with an attitude with her
Very.
own issues,
Yes.
who do not have time for somebody else with their issues.
Yeah.
Who, in essence, this police officer having to deal with crime and all these situations, she get to this place where this lady seems to be living, the high life, and now she calling us out, you know. So your character has a lot inside of herself that's gonna be projected towards the main character Sydney for now. Um, However, just having listened to
Yeah.
your resume, so to speak, and having seen you in a couple of joints, I know that you're going to be very capable, if not extremely capable, of helping us to show just another personality in this whole mental health realm.
Yeah.
Like I said before, you're the personality that has no time for this breakdown, especially from this breakdown of this woman.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And you are being an example of one of those individuals who are out there. And I want to reach them too. Like, soften up a little bit. Wait a minute. Not just as a cop, soften up. Wait a
Yeah.
minute. People
Yeah.
got issues.
Yeah, they do. And it's so interesting that you say that because, as an actor, that's the first thing we're taught is don't judge your character because the character is so far from me. I'm very empathetic. I listen to people,
Mm-hmm.
whereas she's the complete opposite. There is no empathy. I'm not relatable. It's kind of like in selfish terms. And, I have to really, really see the qualities that I could relate to
Mm-hmm.
and bringing, also like my past experience of playing police officers, whatever,
Mhm.
background,
Mhm.
but just seeing like just how she is and how she interacts in that scene with Sydney, I was like, wow, she is completely different. Like she does not care. Because I know if that was Rashida, me, then I was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, oh my goodness, you want to take a moment, let's talk about it. So, but
Exactly.
it's really interesting on that dynamic. So, night and day between the characters, but
Very
this is where
good.
the
So a
acting come out.
challenge.
Yeah.
A challenge. Okay. Well, that's what we want to see.
So
And there you have it.
so yeah, I can like I said, I've played a couple of, no nonsense roles, but to that extent. So yeah.
Okay. So I want us to, we're going to just like conclude this session and then we're going to talk about some other details. But firstly, do you have any questions in regards to, and I'm glad we talked about who the character is and everything. But do you have any questions about the project itself or, well, I think we fleshed out about the character. So do you have any
Yeah,
questions about the project?
um for the most part, I mean, you've answered, this all depends on how, funding goes with the campaign, which
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like there will be an issue, because everyone needs, this is a story that's like different from everything that's being fleshed out right now. So
Exactly.
you need this.
Exactly.
So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like we'll be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as far as like, I guess it'll just be technical, and that's not a big deal as far as like, location where you were picturing this being shot and filmed and or whatever. But I mean, as of right now, I don't have any questions. But I guess if we were to talk about the cops in general, are you talking about like uniforms, or they're like detective dress kind of like with the blazer? Like again, I'm going with
Yeah,
the technical.
we're gonna put them in uniforms.
Okay. All right. So that
Mm-hmm.
helps me to help even visualize as I'm like preparing my character. So, because
Exactly.
this is a
Exactly.
different feel from when you're a detective versus when you have that
Mm-hmm.
uniform on. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay. All right. That was my my main one, my main
Yeah.
question. So, yeah.
Great. So again, thanks again.
Yeah. Thank
We're
you.
going. Oh, you're very welcome.
That I didn't get a chance to say that, but I seriously want to thank you and thank Chad. I
Mm-hmm.
want to even also thank Braun because it was up for him that
Uh
he
huh.
introduced us,
Mm-hmm.
and so
Exactly.
like I said, I respect him very much, and I know anything he introduces me to is of
Mm-hmm.
quality. So,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and then
Ron.
yes,
Ron the Ron.
and
Yeah.
so based on what I read in the script,
Uh huh.
it's of quality. Like I
Well,
don't feel
thank
like it would be an
you.
issue you having that,
Mm-hmm.
being funded because that's a story everyone can relate to,
Exactly.
and this is what's going on currently.
Ex- Big time. And if we could just educate, enlighten,
Yeah,
and empower, then our work here is done.
yeah. So
So, on that note, again, I want to thank you for your participation. I want to thank you for this meeting. I've had a great time.
likewise.
I believe Chad's had a great time. So, I think Tristan's having a great time. Not sure. Nerd out.
He's
No.
on. Yep.
um, but we're gonna do this, Rashida. We're gonna do this, and then we're gonna, as long as I can get access to you, we're going to drive the issue even further with more mental health related projects, as I was mentioning to you earlier, because we have about three, maybe four. I got to check and see. I write a lot. And I just feel your energy to me feels like you want to make a difference in anything and all things that you do.
Yeah.
And with that being said, you're perfect for the things that we want to do. So
Okay.
thank you. So